Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 9 of the 21 and Sensory podcast. I hope all is well with you guys. So I haven't actually done a podcast since the start of January, so there's been a bit of a gap due to basically me just being a bit kind of crazy busy recently, kind of life and work wise. But so I'm recording this one today. I know it's kind of like mid-March and there's been a huge gap, but I'm gonna do a kind of blockbuster return of the podcast. So coming up on today's podcast, I might be speaking a little bit about kind of handling emotions and annoying thoughts. Also want to mention my sensory DIY box video that I've posted up on YouTube. I also thought I'd mention like a little bit about kind of office working and lunchtimes, and also like work snacks and like hangriness in general, so hungry and feeling angry at the same time. I also wanted to just cover my latest blog post, which is on Urticaria and what on earth that is. I thought I'd also mention about my kind of like fidgetiness recently and how I'm kind of not overcoming it, but finding ways to kind of make it less obvious that I'm feeling fidgety, especially at work. Also to do with work, like planning outfits during the week. So I'll chat a little bit more about that and finding exercise that works for me and what I've currently been trying. So yeah, that's all to come. So I thought I'd talk about handling my emotions and annoying thoughts. So recently I've been finding it really hard to get to sleep, like more than usual. And it's because I'm getting like these really like annoying thoughts that like keep me awake and like circle in my head. I know like lots of us have them, like even down to kind of like say you're in bed and you're kind of running through your like to-do list or like stuff you want to do tomorrow and you don't want to forget. Like we're all kind of guilty of thinking before bed because obviously it's quiet and we live like 24/7 rushed lives. So I totally get that it's you can kind of go through your to-do list or checklist in your head before bed. But these sorts of thoughts are kind of annoying in a kind of almost like my mind's just kind of throwing them in and I'm not in control of them. So like they're always like negative and unhelpful, and they're kind of like almost, I don't know, like I'm not in control of them and they're just throwing like something's throwing negative thoughts into my head. So it's kind of annoying, and I'm trying to kind of keep on top of it by challenging them and trying to like recognize the bad thoughts as they come. So rather than not like listen to them, I sort of challenge them and say like, why, oh, I'm feeling angry because of this thought, and it shouldn't affect me before I go to sleep. Or I'll try and like write down, like if there's something particular that's kind of going around in my head, I'll write it down in a notebook before I go to bed so that it's kind of out of my mind and it's on paper and you can kind of close a book on it. That's something my mum's always like said is like a really good technique, is to write out stuff that's in your head before bed. Like even if it doesn't have to be like negative thoughts or whatever, it can be like a to-do list or, you've remembered something to do tomorrow, like write it down. So I do think it's worth keeping a notebook by your bed. That's something I've found helpful. I don't know, it's just almost like there's my half of the mind, like Emily's mind, like, day-to-day thinking and doing stuff. And then there's like the unhelpful, negative side of my mind, and I'm not in control of it. And it likes to just throw in random crap to make me feel rubbish, which is not very helpful. So I'm trying to get more on top of that by keeping not so much distracted but like busy. And I don't know, if I do get like these random like really negative thoughts, is try and tackle them if I realise them. Sometimes I kind of not like subjectify to them, but I kind of fall into the trap of listening to them. So I like my mood will get affected because of it. So it's something I'm trying to deal with at the moment, and emotion wise it can make me feel a bit upset and just a bit down in general. But I think the writing it out and having like a kind of, I don't know, using like self-soothing techniques, like, I don't know, like if like, say it isn't before bed, say it's during the day, like, I don't know, like going and having a bath, that really helps me. Like I've read about self-soothing techniques where like you can hold ice and it's kind of almost like to shock your body into thinking about something different rather than what's in your mind. It's like holding an ice cube or like sucking on an ice cube. So I guess that works with like hot and cold showers and things like that. So I tend to have a bath. That's my way of like dealing with things. But yeah, I thought I'd just have a quick chat about it. So the last time I photographed my sensory box, it was super popular, and it was at the very start of my blog, so you can go on to 21andsensory.wordpress.com to see that if you want to. So I thought it was worth like doing an updated version of my like DIY sensory box. So I included all of the things that I usually use, apart from two things, which were my weighted blanket, because it's like flipping huge and I can't fit it in the box. But it's something I use every day, and it's from Sensory Direct, so if you want to go and check them out, just Google Sensory Direct. Also, I couldn't fit my wave projector in my sensory box. Again, it's just too big, but it's something I use every night. So my sensory box is like a big plastic storage like tub. It's a 3 litre easy storage tub, so I don't know if like whether you want to Google how big it is just to see size wise, but yeah, it's like a 3 litre plastic container basically with like a clip-on lid. So the things that I featured in my YouTube video of my sensory box, I've just written down a list of all the things. So I have a set of earplugs, like soft earplugs. I also have like this squishy Stingray stress, almost like a stress ball, but obviously it's in the shape of a stingray, which I got from Amazon. I also have just a basic fidget spinner, one again from Amazon. I think it was like £3 or £4. Again, like all these products I'm talking about, they're pretty much all from Amazon. But if you go on my YouTube account, which is 21andsensory, you can see all the links as well as on my blog as well. Also in my box I have some resistance like loop bands that people use for like exercise and stretching, but they're just quite good in terms of like, I don't know, like part of like my sensory diet. And I don't know, like if you're kind of feeling, I don't know, a bit stressed, it's quite good to like stretch out the elastic. I also have just a really simple like wooden cup with like a ball on a string attached to it, so you just kind of like hold the cup and you can swing the ball to catch it in the cup, sort of thing. It's just quite a simple activity, which is good for like distractions. I also have a TheraPressure brush, which is from Amazon. It's kind of labelled as a special needs brush, but basically it's just a white kind of brush with loads of like thin bristles on it that you use for body brushing. So that's from Amazon, yeah. And then I have a couple of just like generic stress balls. These are like different colours, and again they're bought on Amazon, just like small squishy like in the hand ones, which you can also like put in your coat pocket and stuff, or like jumper pocket, and kind of squeeze when necessary. What else have I got? I've got like this crazy like spinning stick thing. At first it looks a bit like I don't know, like something you get in like a cocktail drink, like almost like a kind of cocktail umbrella. It's called a tow bar magic spin stick, and basically it has like this kind of weird kind of foil around it, and you spin it between your two hands, and basically it just it's like a kind of sensory object that you can look at while it's spinning, but you kind of create the spinning action. So yeah, if you go on Amazon and search a tow bar, so TOBAR magic spin stick, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's quite I think it was like £2 or £3, and it's quite a kind of cheap, kind of almost like a larger fidget spinner style toy. I also have 10 magnetic like stones that I use to just kind of distract myself. They're called magnetic hematite pieces, and it's just like they come in a little pouch, and you can They're like those really strong kind of magnets that you can just sort of fiddle with, basically. Alongside that, I use my Tangle. You probably all know what a Tangle is. If not, it's like a plastic kind of loop toy where you can just fiddle with it endlessly. Again, bought it on Amazon. I think it was like £5 or £6, and there's loads of different colours, which is great. I also have like these like wooden twisty blocks on there, like a piece of elastic string, and you can kind of mess with those. And again, it's something just to keep your hands busy. So that's basically everything that's in my sensory box that I'm looking at here. Apart from the sort of ear plugs, I do have some in-ear kind of plugs that are attached to a plastic band. So those are linked on my blog and on my YouTube. But I couldn't also fit my noise cancelling like large headphones in there as well. But yeah, I use those as well to just kind of block out everyday loud noises. So there's quite a lot in my sensory box. It's not full. I'm looking at it now. It's kind of like half full, and I think I'll be kind of adding and taking things out of it like as and when I need to. So I don't know, like it definitely filled up a little bit after Christmas because I got like some bits and pieces in my stocking that were kind of fidget toys and things. I also bought myself a fidget cube with one of my Christmas vouchers, so that also has been living in there at the moment. But it's quite good because I can change the bits and pieces that I use most days, and other bits I can just leave out. So if you want to buy or have a look at any of the things I mentioned, do have a look at my DIY sensory video, because it shows all the products and it shows me putting them in the box, so you can actually get a real feel for what they are. If not, just have a look on my blog, and they're all like Amazon links that you can click on. So I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit more about something called Urticaria and what on earth it is. So basically, the full name is cholinergic urticaria. Now, I've probably pronounced that completely wrong, but basically I now know that I suffer from something called cholinergic urticaria. So you're probably like, what the hell is that, Emily? So kind of from the beginning, and this is me sort of reading out my blog post a bit. So from the beginning, I'm a hella sweaty person, but I wasn't like always. So since I was kind of around 16 years old, my sweatiness has just like continued to ramp up every year, and I just seem to like be always sweaty no matter what time of year, what the temperature is, my environment, etc. And I get it worse under my arms and on the palm of my hands. So this is referred to as having hyperhidrosis, which is basically like a really fancy medical term for a person who suffers with excessive sweating. So I tried numerous treatments for my sweatiness, like special deodorant sprays, and even like a treatment called iontophoresis. So iontophoresis is a treatment which consists of using a medical device, and basically it's used to pass a mild electrical current through water. So you pop your hands and feet in this like water dish, and you can use pads to kind of use the device under your arms. So if you want to find out more about this, just Google iontophoresis. This method is apparently shown to dramatically decrease sweating. However, it didn't actually work for me. It's super expensive if you want to do it at home for yourself, but luckily I had appointment like sessions at my local hospital and had access to it via the NHS in the UK, so it is worth looking into if sweatiness is something you suffer from. Anyway, I also began to steadily realise that I was now suffering from more and more night sweats, like soak the bed, change your PJs immediately, like I need a shower right now, but I can't because it's flipping 3 a.m. And then the flushing turned up as well. So by flushing, I mean like I was going bright red like a tomato all over my face and on my hands too. And this past year, it's just seemed to get steadily worse, and I was having like flushing attacks 1 to sort of 3 times a day. So this made life boring. I felt like I was constantly washing because I always felt sweaty. But then I sort of slowly started to realise that foods were affecting my flushing. So hot food, hot drinks and tomatoes seemed to make me flush like very violently, and it also made me like blotchy like a rash. So for example, I used to love tomato soup, it's my fave, but I actually looked awful after having some because it was a hot food full of tomato. This is me guessing beforehand, and I almost felt like I was allergic to tomato because I was getting so blotchy and red in my face and my hands after I had anything hot. So I also used to go to the gym near where I lived, but I stopped going because after 5 or 10 minutes of running or exercising, I would literally look horrific. I had a horrible blotchy bright red face that was so hot and itchy, and my arms and hands were bright red and they feel like they were burning, which is not fun, obviously. I also found that the redness wouldn't like settle down for like up to sort of an hour or two after going to the gym. And I also started to get kind of red arms and legs whenever having like a shower or a bath. So basically all of this was super frustrating to deal with, and social situations were becoming an absolute nightmare, and they kind of still are to this day. So as if I didn't have enough to worry about like sensory rise and anxiety like in general about social situations, I would now go bright red and blotchy all over my face whenever I ate out or was going like from indoors to outdoors. So my face just burnt and it felt red hot, but people still continued to point out like, oh, Emily's gone all red, or oh, you've come over like all embarrassed, or why don't you just take your jumper off if you're hot? And like in my head I'm like, it's my face that's hot, and like I can be absolutely freezing and have like cold hands but have a bright red face. And also one of my favourites was, do you know you've gone bright red, Emily? Like, yes, of course I know I'm bright red, it's my face, I'm quite good at knowing when it's red because it burns and it's not comfortable, but yeah, okay, rant over. Anyway, so all this is going on, so I thought I better go to my GP and just see like why I was getting these weird flushing attacks and what was happening, like if I was allergic to something, and did my sweating have anything to do with my flushing. So my GP suggested antihistamines to see if they made any difference, and then I waited 6 months for an immunology and like an allergy clinic appointment at my local hospital. And I had a super lovely doctor who started like right from the beginning of all the symptoms I'd been experiencing over the years. And at the end of the appointment, she explained that I had cholinergic urticaria, which is a medical term used to describe physical urticaria, which is also known as hives. So hives is like when you're allergic, you kind of come up in like red blotchy kind of patches. So I was mistaking my flushing as just kind of, oh, I'm feeling a bit hot and getting flushed, but actually it was me reacting with hives. So it's recognised by a hypersensitive response the skin has as a result of the body increasing in temperature and the release of sweat. And a lot of the sort of most common symptoms are like, why do I itch when I get hot or exercise, which was exactly what I was experiencing. So individuals may experience like cholinergic urticaria reaction in response to any activity that increases overall like body temperature. So a list of things that do that are taking a hot shower or bath, eating spicy foods, exercising or doing physical activities that increase body temperature, stress or anxiety, emotional responses like sadness, anxiety, anger or laughter, and if you're kind of transitioning from a cool environment to a hotter environment, so if you're walking from a cold room to a hot room sort of thing. So basically, as you can see, this list explained all my symptoms. I can't take a bath or a shower without going red and blotchy, and I can't exercise without looking like I've been severely sunburnt. I also get awful flare-ups when I'm anxious or stressed or emotional, and when I change environments. Although, however, luckily I don't like spicy food. So, just to put it simply, I'm pretty much allergic to my own sweat, which isn't ideal. So when I thought I was having flushing attacks, I was actually breaking out in blotchy hives. And the doctor explained that being allergic to my own sweat, when I'm actually the sweatiest person on earth, is a pretty vicious and never-ending cycle. So as you can imagine, this wasn't the greatest thing to hear, but it was reassuring to hear a doctor understanding my predicament. So, as we all do, popped on Google, started kind of searching about the condition, came across a load of news articles and health articles, and then I came across one that said simply, "Woman is allergic to exercise." I was like, oh man. Like it was some sort of like gripping news headline meant to attract readers, but I was like, this is slightly disconcerting, but it's kind of what I felt like. Anyway, currently scientists and researchers don't actually know why cholinergic urticaria or heat hives develops or what actually causes it. So some research indicates it could be down to an autoimmune condition or like your own sweat or sweat serum. Other studies say there's an allergic component or even a blood disorder, but yeah, who knows. So the main kind of treatment options, they are pretty limited, apart from taking antihistamines, avoiding known triggers, which is quite difficult, like avoiding hot weather, physical activity. Spicy foods I avoid anyway. You can take like steroids. This is for kind of more extreme cases. UVB therapy, sweat and exercise therapy. I'm not really sure what that is. Diet changes such as avoiding like trigger foods and more. Also, sometimes urticaria can change, like kind of seasonal allergies or other like allergic conditions, like like people who are allergic to pollen and stuff like that. It's worse in like the warmer months, sort of thing. The condition can last months, years, or can kind of go away and come back sporadically, which sucks. In one study, the average duration was approximately 7 years, although some people had this condition on and off for up to 30 years, which is not the best thing to read in the world. Even though this condition may be long-lasting, you can kind of find treatment regimes that work for you, sort of thing, and most people have high quality of life. So I am now on 4 antihistamines a day, woo! And I'm trying to avoid, but I'm sometimes giving into trigger foods. So basically, here I'm just going to kind of list off a load of foods that are high in histamine and are best to be avoided if I want to kind of not have like, not flushing attacks, but kind of this urticaria come on. Okay, so some histamine-rich food is fermented alcohol beverages like wine, champagne and beer. Not really a problem for me. Fermented foods like soy sauce, yogurt, vinegar-containing foods like pickles and mayonnaise and olives, cured meats like bacon, salami, pepperoni, other meats and hot dogs. Luckily I'm a vegetarian. Soured foods like sour cream, sour milk, buttermilk, soured bread, dried fruit, apricots, prunes, dates, figs, raisins. Apparently most citrus fruits, goat's cheese, nuts like walnuts, cashews and peanuts, vegetables like avocados, eggplant, spinach and tomatoes. So yeah, that explains a lot about the whole tomato soup thing, and even just eating like, I don't know, like tomatoes in a salad or on a pizza or something, I was getting really bad attacks. So I'm trying to stay away from tomatoes. Also, things like smoked fish and certain sort of species of fish like mackerel, tuna, anchovies and sardines. And then there's histamine-releasing foods, which are bananas, chocolate, cow's milk, nuts, papaya, pineapple, shellfish, hard to say, strawberries, tomatoes again, wheat germ, and apparently many artificial preservatives and dyes. Yeah, so at the moment the antihistamines have been helping me a bit, although I do suffer with definitely 1 flare-up a day, sometimes 2 or 3, and for some unknown reason the night sweats just don't want to go away, which is very frustrating because I can't have a shower at 3 a.m. in the morning when I'm soaking wet. Anyway, maybe I'll do a sort of update to this at some point in the future. So that was my weird old journey to finding out that alongside my sensory problems, I also have cholinergic urticaria. Woo! So I said that I was going to talk a little bit about my office where I work and lunchtimes and also kind of work snacks and hangriness in general. So this week, actually the past 2 weeks, it's been super busy at work, which is totally fine because it means I have lots of stuff to do, which I'm always up for. But it's been so noisy in the office, like to the point where I can't remember what I'm supposed to be doing sometimes if I'm in the middle of something, because like people will be talking next to me and I'll just lose my entire thought train, and also just kind of, I don't know, just almost like lose my place in general. I don't know, like if something loud's happening next to me, I just lose all focus, concentration and happiness basically. So the ways that I've been trying to deal with this is listening to music with my in-ear like headphones, earphones, that's what I'm trying to say. So try and listen to music or radio, which sounds a bit crazy because I don't know, like people talking is distracting me, but I can listen to the radio. But almost like if I've kind of got the same background volume, it's okay. But in the office, it changes. Like people shouting across the office and also people kind of next to me having conversations. I've also been listening to some bath running ASMR. So you can, if you type that into YouTube, there's like hours of like bath running, like videos uploaded, where it's just like the audio. So you can listen to like bath running kind of tracks for ages. So I like to do that because it's kind of a consistent background noise, and you can have it up kind of as loud as you like or kind of quieter if, I don't know, it's like too much to listen to. So that really helps for me. I'm really tempted to take in my noise cancelling headphones, but they're like construction worker ones, and I don't want to look kind of ridiculous, which I know is a bit sad that I'm sacrificing my happiness to not look a bit ridiculous, but also I do find it's a little bit annoying to wear noise cancelling headphones over my ears because I wear glasses all the time, and like, I don't know, it kind of like pinches in your glasses behind your ears when you wear over ear headphones. So if anyone out there is a glasses wearer like all the time, any like recommendations for over ear headphones that don't squish your glasses in would be like hugely appreciated. Feel free to like email me, or I don't know, message me on Twitter or Instagram, or just like on my blog, because I find it's a real issue for me. I don't know, I've been recommended a couple of different ones before in the past and from like family and stuff, but I don't know, they've never seemed to kind of quite like not pinch my like ears and my ends of my glasses. So anyway, that's another kind of thing I'm toying with taking in, but I don't know how it'll be kind of reacted to. And also, like, I speak a lot to like my co-workers, like, because we'll work together on projects, so I don't know, like, I don't want to like be totally zoned out that I don't hear them shouting like my name at me, sort of thing. So that's kind of the busy office, crazy environment sort of thing. And like lunchtimes I'm finding difficult because like usually the office is quite quiet and it's okay, because then when I go to lunch it's a bit louder because everyone's like talking, which is fine. But then when after lunch I can go back to a quiet office. But these past 2 weeks it's been really loud in the office and really loud at lunchtime because we have like a canteen. So I'm finding that quite difficult at the moment. I don't really know how to overcome that, because apart from going and hiding in the loo, which isn't really the most sensible thing in the world to do, it's difficult to know if that's the right thing to do or not. But like I do work on a like a research park, which in a way is really great because I can get away from my screen by going like out for a walk, like almost like around the park. So that kind of suits me quite well. Or like I'll tag along with people and walk to like our like supermarket, like the nearest one to our the research park, which is about like a 12-minute walk or something. So I mean, getting out of the office at lunchtime is quite a good thing, I think, for me, in my kind of sensoriness, in that I can get away from the noise. But I mean, I'm with less people and I'm less kind of social, but if we go in a little group then it's okay. So I try and do that at least like twice a week, because I feel like the exercise is good for me to get out, and it's also good for my eyes, because I get one really twitchy eye if I like work at my screen too long, like rather than taking like breaks and stuff. Like I do take a couple of tea breaks like each day, but I don't know, I have a really twitchy, I think it's my right eye, it's just super twitchy. So yeah, take regular screen breaks, people, otherwise you'll get twitchy eyes like me. So in terms of like hangriness, I find that if I don't eat like regularly enough, I get really like hangry. So I'm hungry but also kind of easily irritable and frustrated. So I've talked about this before, but like I never feel full when I eat, and I think it's part of my like sensory processing disorder, but like it's important to not forget to eat, and I feel like to make sure even if I regularly have just something is a good thing for me, because it keeps my energy levels up, because I feel like sensory processing disorder is a really like not big thing to live with, but a kind of time consuming and energy kind of consuming thing to live with, because my senses are like always on like red alert, like always like, whoa, what's happening? And it takes a lot of like, I feel like it takes a lot of calories to be always switched on. I don't know if that makes sense, and that is probably not a great excuse for me to eat cake like all the time, which I don't, but you know, be nice. But I feel like, I don't know, it's just, it sucks the life out of me sometimes, and it's like, life is stressful anyway. Just, you know, living in 2018 is stressful for most people, and you know, people are rushing around doing their jobs and things like that. So to have like the sensory stuff on top of all this just makes it a little bit more difficult, and I just try and make sure that I have a mix of snacks available like in my desk drawer. So I've made a little list because I'm that organised. So what kind of works for me in terms of like work snacks are, so I tend to have a couple of apples in my drawer, some yogurt bars and some apple bars, like kind of, I think they're called Go Ahead bars, or like, you know, just kind of like Nutri-Grain apple bars, like nothing too fancy, just enough to kind of keep me going. And I also really like getting like sucky sweets, like pear drops or like Werther's Originals, like things to have if I'm feeling a little bit kind of stressy or anxious, that I can just kind of like sit there and kind of like, when I'm like sucking on like a pear drop or something like that, it's kind of like a distraction because it's taking up another kind of sense, and it's distracting me because I'm focusing on that sort of thing. So I try and like have, obviously like I'm not going through like a packet of pear drops a day, but like maybe like a packet a month or something. So I have like those just in my desk drawer for when I need them. I also, I think I mentioned this before in my like what's in my bag bit, like segment, I like to take like packets of couscous and stuff like that, because I know that it's something that I like, that is kind of neutral tasting and something that I can go to and not feel stressed about making and stuff like that, because you literally just add hot water and you have a meal. I know it sounds very studenty, but it works for me. So yeah, that's kind of what works in terms of keeping my energy levels up, as well as trying to drink more water, which I am getting better at, because I have a water bottle with like a kind of straw insert thing, and it's much easier to drink than having to like tip an entire like water bottle. Like I find it like difficult to not like make a noise when I'm like drinking out of a water bottle that you tip that doesn't have like a straw insert. So I'm definitely drinking more because I'm less kind of self-conscious, if that makes sense. So yeah, let me know what works for you guys, like what sort of typical work snacks you take to work, or if like you make them beforehand. Like I know a lot of my friends at work and other colleagues like make like a batch of meals at the weekend to take to work during the week and stuff like that. So I think that's a good idea and something I kind of want to get on top of, but it's kind of planning those meals out. So this kind of leads on to planning my work clothes, which I will talk about next. So I've started to kind of try and plan out what to wear each week in outfits, which I realise in a way sounds a little bit childish, in that you're kind of almost picking out your clothes for the next day or the next week, like your kind of parents would used to do, sort of thing, but it's kind of working for me. So even if like before bed I kind of get out what I want to wear, or I have an idea of what I want to wear and I know it's clean, so the next day it takes me less time to get changed, because like the previous like a couple of months, I just, in the morning I wake up and I have no idea what to wear, and I obviously own clothes and I just like, I'm really bad at like comboing clothes. So like I have a drawer full of skinny jeans, which is super work for me, and I like to wear big kind of cozy jumpers to work, and I have like some like knitted jumpers and big scarves, like chunky scarves, and like I try and rotate them sort of thing, so obviously it doesn't look like I'm wearing the same thing all the time. So that kind of works for me, but I don't know, it takes up so much time, and I'm like, I stood in front of the mirror like like 20 to 9 thinking I really need to leave for work, but I'm not happy with what I'm wearing, and then that affects like how I'm at work, like if I'm comfortable, and like if I get to work and I realise that I haven't cut a tag out of one of my t-shirts, and then it will scratch against me the whole day, and it's stuff like that the forward planning helps me to, number one, remember to cut out tags from clothes, and number two, kind of rotate what I'm wearing, because I forget what I've worn like during the week, and I think like, have I worn this? Like, can I get away with this again? So last week I kind of trialed like kind of planning out what to wear and having it ready like the day before. So that really helps, and I do recommend it. I definitely wake up and get changed that little bit quicker. I'm not saying I ever get up on time, because for some reason it takes me ages to get to sleep, but I'm always find it really hard to get up. But yeah, like I recommend trying it, and it helps to kind of not like lay it out specifically, but just like I chuck it all on my bean bag that's in my room, so that I can kind of just grab it in the morning, get changed and get on with my day, rather than kind of, I don't know, like dilly-dallying over what on earth to wear. So yeah, like I've also like drawn out like a little, not like a schedule, but like a kind of like what I've got in my wardrobe and what works well together. So like they're not even like great drawings, but for me, I know what's in my wardrobe. Like I find it really hard to remember what stuff I have. Like I have quite I feel like I have a photographic memory, so I could tell you what my wardrobe looks like, but because I have a lot of black, grey and dark blue clothing, it kind of all melts into one. So I could tell you the layout, but not necessarily what the clothes were. So I've kind of drawn them out, and it's my kind of go-to, like, oh, I could wear this, or oh, this works and I haven't worn it in a while. So yeah, totally recommend trying it. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about in this ridiculously long blockbuster of a podcast is finding an exercise that works for me and what I have tried. So, if you are listening to the previous part of this podcast where I talked about cholinergic urticaria, which I'm still struggling to remember how to say, you will know that I get ridiculous, like, blotchy hive attacks. So my face goes all bright red and blotchy, so I come out in hives, and I get it on my like knuckles especially, and my hands, and also my arms and legs. So not particularly fun, and it's really annoying because I really want to find an exercise that works for me. Like I really want to get back into running, but obviously as soon as I start sweating, I'm allergic to my own sweat, so that's what's going to cause the hives to come on. So I need to find an exercise that isn't going to make me super sweaty, but obviously I'm a very sweaty person anyway. So you see my predicament, people. What the hell am I going to do? So I've been trying some yoga apps out on my phone to try and get back into it more slowly, exercise-wise, rather than going high intensity, hella sweatiness, which is working, I think. I'm still getting quite red and blotchy from just doing yoga, and I've also been doing like YouTube, like not tutorials, what they called YouTube, like almost like kind of follow along exercise lessons, like exercise classes, so like using weights and things like that. So in terms of like weights and kind of like muscle building, I feel like I'd be better at that sort of thing than I would cardio. Problem is, like, I really love like football and I really love running, but like I've had back surgery a few like years ago and I'm still a little bit concerned about like running and the impact of running on my back and also the hives as well. So I've got a lot going on. Obviously, like there's far worse things to be dealing with in the world, but it's, I don't know, like exercise was, I used to really love it. Like I used to, like at school, I used to play netball, rounders, football. I used to be part of the school teams. I did GCSE PE, which is a qualification in the UK that you take when you're 16, that you can choose to take when you're 16 if you want to. Like I really enjoyed sports, and now that I've got like this, like I've lost confidence, definitely, with exercising, and I'm not very body confident, so that doesn't help. But obviously going red like a tomato is never going to be like great for my confidence. So I want to do something that's not like classes and in front of people, but something that I'm not going to worry about the effects of like back pain and things like that. So I thought yoga and kind of not weightlifting, but kind of training with weights and things in my room is like a good way to start and just see how I go. So I'll update you guys on how it goes, but if anyone else has any like top tips or like exercises they do at home or like really good YouTube videos to watch to like exercise along to, that would be really good. I've also, so apart from the 2 yoga apps, I did download the Nike like training app, which also has some kind of like exercises you can do at home, and it kind of splits them up into sort of 5, 7, 13, 15 and 30 minute like exercise sessions, so that's quite good if you're kind of rushed for time, so I do recommend looking at that. I've also downloaded the Couch to 5k app, which I think is like an NHS kind of incentive thing, where like the app will help you get from sitting on the sofa to running a 5k, and I think it's over like a certain amount of weeks. So I downloaded that because apparently like it's quite a slow kind of like progression wise, it's quite slow and steady, which is something I would want to do if I was trying to get back into running. So I have downloaded that and I've kind of looked through all the different activities and things, but again, like I get a bit stressy when I'm kind of like sweaty and stuff, so like I wash and like do my hair washing and all that on certain days of the week, so I'd want to do exercise on the days where I don't, like on the days where I do like wash, because I wash like every other day in the evenings, so I get a bit kind of OCD about when I exercise and when I wash to time it properly, because like I don't want to be sweaty for the rest of the day if it's not a washing day sort of thing. So there's that as well. Like it's a kind of mix of OCD, anxiety and sensory issues. So I think I'm going to plan out a schedule kind of thing, and like I know routines really work for me, and it's definitely like an autistic sort of trait that definitely like is me, that I love routines, and that is the main thing that I think will keep me happy. So I'll let you know how that goes. So this is kind of the end of the podcast. It has been a ridiculously long one, but I thought, seeing as I didn't do one in February, I ought to make a kind of blockbustery one for March. I hope you found it interesting, and if there is anything else that you'd like me to cover in my podcasts or on my blog or even on social media, you know how to contact me. I'm at 21sensory on Twitter and on Instagram, and you can find me on my blog at 21sensory.wordpress.com, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, bye.